welcome back to my channel. For those who are new here, hi, hello. Let's shake hands, y'all. My name is Amber Marie, and this is Meet Me at the Bookstore. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the 10 best and 10 worst reads of 2024. And y'all, I might have some controversial ones in here. But without further ado, let's talk about the 10 best and worst reads of 2024. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that bullshit, and let's go. Let's start off with the top 10 books of 2024, starting off with one that I do not have the physical copy of yet, but I promise you I will own this entire series, and that is the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver, most specifically Reckless, which is book 4. Now, it was a toss-up between 2 and 4, with 3 like a front runner as well. I couldn't decide who I loved more, Theo or Cade. But honestly, when it comes down to it, Theo is the best, hands down character that I have ever read about. He blew my mind, especially with the whole, like, he had no idea about his daughter, but he still loved his daughter even though Winter didn't tell him. Unplanned pregnancy, which that trope, honestly, is one of my least favorite tropes. But the way it was written, Elsie did a wonderful job on the way it was written, and it was so good. So, again, Reckless by Elsie Silver definitely was one of the top reads of 2024. That whole series was a 5-star read for me, and I read it on my Kindle, but Reckless was definitely my top read. Okay, and then I have to give an honorable mention to one of the best written books I've ever written. Honestly, I wanted to put this on the list, but there's just other books that were better, and that is the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. And y'all, that series, if you guys don't know what it is a set of 5 little novellas. They're super short, about a FBI agent who is chasing down this serial killer who falls in love with this woman who happens to be the serial killer he's searching for. I love it when we get women on the revenge arc and they're the bad guys. I was obsessed with this entire series. I do not have the physical copy of it. I wanted to get it, and then it was taken off Amazon for a long time, and I just noticed that it's back, so I'm definitely going to get that for my trophy, because that series was 5 stars, 10 out of 10, one of the best series that I read this year. Next, we have A Court of Thorns and Roses, ACOTAR. Now, of course, this has to be on my list. If it's not, like, I feel so ashamed of myself, but of course it is. Now, this series as a whole was so good. I rated this book a 4 stars. The book that really made me fall in love with this series is A Court of Mist and Fury, and a Court of Wings and Ruin. Oh my god, if I could speak English. Those 2 books in particular were 5-star reads for me. I love this series, and Rhysand, just, he lives rent-free in my head. I think about this series all the time, and Feyre, and Nesta, and I cannot wait for the next book to come out. And honestly, as soon as she announces it, I am doing a reread, because Mama Moss, you need to get on to this. Like, come on, I need the next book. But y'all, this is definitely one of the top 10. Okay, I'm going to stick with Mama Moss, and the next is Crescent City. I loved this book. This was a 4-star read for me. Book 2, which is A House of Sky and Blood, was also a 4-star read for me. And then book 3, that was a 2-star read for me. I did not like how that series, or how book 3 ended. I think that's the end of, I think it's the end of the series. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if there's going to be more, or if it's just going to be, like, Bryce and Hunt stories over, so I'm not 100% sure. But I hated book 3. Book 1 and book 2, great. Especially book 1, which is A House of Earth and Blood. I loved the murder mystery aspect, the world building, the modern fantasy. I was obsessed with this series, and honestly, if I could go back and reread it, I would. They are super long, and honestly, I feel like they could be 200 to 300 pages shorter. But even then, it was still a 4-star read for me, a great, great read. And these characters live like rent free in my head, and it is one of my Roman empires. And I love Sarah J. Maas's writing, and I mean, I would read anything that she writes. So, Crescent City. Next, again, it's a Sarah J. Maas book. Okay, Mama Maas, she knows how to write good books. Okay, now this is Throne of Glass. This entire series was a 5-star read, except for this one. I really struggled to get into this book, but as soon as I got to the last 100 pages, I fell in love. And my favorite book in the series is definitely Kingdom of Ash. That is how you end a series, okay? That is how you end a series. And if anyone needs to take notes because you're writing a book, take notes from that. That is how you end a series. Kingdom of Ash lives rent-free in my head 24/7. I think about it all the time, and I do plan on doing a reread of the series later on down the road because I can't get enough of it. And if I could, I would sell my soul to the devil to read this for the first time again. This series is amazing. So, Throne of Glass, y'all. Next, we have The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. Now, this book was so good. I went into this knowing that it has mixed reviews. Some people really, really love it, and some people really, really hated it. And I loved it. I loved Rowan. I love Zahara. I loved the whole Disneyland aspect. And I thought their romance was really cute. It was definitely like a workplace enemies to lovers romance. And y'all, this one was so fun. I have not read Terms and Conditions yet, which is book 2 of this series. But this series, I know all 4 are going to be 4-star reads at least, or all 3, excuse me, is going to be 4-star reads at least. But this one was a 4-star read. I love, love, love it. And this is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. Next, we have the Twisted series by Anna Wong, particularly Twisted Hate. I love Josh and Jules. I love their story. So if you guys haven't read this series, please do so. But this book in particular is about Josh, who is Ava, who is the main character in the first book, Twisted Lies, which I did not like that book, by the way. It's brother. And Jules is Ava's best friend. And they, honest to God, hate each other. They can't stand each other. They've never been able to. And they end up working in the same office. So she is a lawyer who just got out of law school, and he is a doctor who is doing his residency, who also volunteers at this office once or twice a week after his shifts. And they become friends, and it's enemies to lovers. It's so, so good, y'all. This one was a 5-star read for me. Another one was Twisted Games, was a 5-star. Twisted Lies was a 4-star. And then, Twisted Lies was a 4-star. And then Twisted Love. I keep saying Twisted Lies. Twisted Love is the first book, and I hated it. That was a 2-star read for me. But Twisted Hate, one of my favorites of all times. I think about this couple all the time, and I cannot wait to see if there's another book, because I heard a rumor that there is. Next, we have The Serpents and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. So this is book 1 of the Nightborn duet, and it is in a series called The Crowns of Nyaxia. So it is a duet. There's The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and then the Stars and the Star, or the Wings and the Star, what is it called? Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Sorry. Both were really good 4-star reads for me, but this one in particular was one of my all-time favorite reads of 2024. I loved the humans and vampires and Hunger Games, trials and tribulations aspect. It is so dang good. Rain, Daddy Rain, y'all. He is one of my all-time favorite book boyfriends, with Rhysand being number 1. Xaden from Iron Flame and Fourth Wing, number 2. Rain, number 3. Daddy Cade, number 4. Theo, number 5. And then Josh from Twisted Hate, number 6. Okay, I literally have a list of all my favorite book boyfriends, okay? But Rain, oh my god, I loved him. I loved this story. I hated the king, but it was so good. And then when he betrays her at the end, sorry, spoiler alert, he does betray her at the end. I wanted to throw this book, but it ended on such a good cliffhanger that I had to immediately read book 2. And the way book 2 ended just was perfection, and I loved this story. So Servants of the Wing of Night, one of my top 10 reads. Next, we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Now, this one kind of surprised me. When I first read it, I thought, okay, it's YA, it's going to be so stupid. And honestly, it's so good. Holly Jackson did a really good job of setting up the story, talking about the murder, and how the main character wants to solve it because she feels in her heart that maybe who they say did it didn't really do it. And she ends up solving the murder, y'all. I'm going to spoil it again. It's so good, though. And I thought I had it figured out. And damn it, I was wrong. The twists and turns, the plot twist, the ending, 10 out of 10. This was definitely a 4-star read for me. One of my favorite YA books of the year for sure. And Holly Jackson, y'all, she knows how to write a good murder mystery. And I was obsessed. And I just started the Netflix series. And I'm a couple episodes in, and so far so good. The only thing I hate, which, I mean, it's owned by BBC, so it makes sense. But I hate that it's not set in Connecticut like the book. But other than that, such a good series. If you guys haven't read it, please go pick it up because this is so, so good. It's a quick, easy read, and I promise you guys will love it. Okay, y'all. So this one I read in the month of December, and I did not expect it to be on my list of top 10 reads, but it 100% deserves to be probably in the top 3. This one is so good. This is Lightlark by Alex Astor. I went into this thinking I was going to hate it because it's YA, and YA fantasies are really hit or miss for me, but this one, y'all, I don't know what Alex put in this book, but y'all, it is like crack, and it is so dang good. This is trials and tribulations, enemies to lovers, a love triangle with magic and the world building. It's so good. The only thing I hated, the only reason it's not a 5-star read for me, was because in the first few chapters, it was like pointedly repeated over and over and over again how the island shows up every 100 years for 100 days. And that really annoyed me. I felt like we could have got away with maybe mentioning it once or twice, but it was like 6 or 7 times a chapter for like the first 4 chapters. So that really annoyed me. But other than that, this is such a great book, and I literally read it in a day. It is so fun. So if you guys haven't read Lightlark, what are you doing? Like living under a rock? Because I was, okay? So I'm not judging you, but I was. And I know I was late to the game because I just read it in December. But guys, this is so fun. Last book, y'all, is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone and their dog knows about this story, but if you guys don't, this is the first book in the series, and Iron Flame is book 2, and then Onyx Storm is coming out in January. And it follows Violet, who is in a college that her mother is like a cadet, not cadet, but the general at, and she was training to be a scribe, but ended up not doing that. Her mom made her go into the writer's quadrant, and it is full of trials and tribulations and tests. We have enemies to lovers. We have a shadow daddy, Daddy Zayden, who is my all-time favorite shadow daddy besides Ruzand. Like I said earlier, Ruzand is always going to be my number 1. He is my number 2. And y'all, this book lives rent-free in my head. And I'm actually going to be doing a reread this coming month in January because I want to reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame right before we get Onyx Storm, which I did pre-order and I'm super excited for. I did not include this in my list. I really wanted to, but there was other books that were just a little bit better for me. But I have to mention it because, y'all, it is so good. It was a 5-star read for me. I just read this in the month of December, and that is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This book, y'all, was so dang good. If I could make a list of my top 10 all over again, I would probably put this in number 1. But I decided not to include it in the list because I just had read it, and I included Lightlark, and I felt bad for including another book that I just had read when there were so many others I read this year that were so good. But y'all, this was my top read of the year. It made me cry, it made me laugh, I fell in love with the characters. It was so dang good. It was so well written. Kristen Hanna knows how to write World War II fantasy and fiction. Y'all, she knows how to make you feel your emotions. Her writing was immaculate. It was so good. So yes, this is an honorable mention, but if I could redo the list, this would be number 1. So, The Nightingale. Go pick it up if you guys haven't. It is so good. Okay, now we need to talk about the top 10 worst reads of 2024. And some of these might be really controversial, and I'm sorry. These are just my opinions. If you guys love them, then good for you. I'm so happy. I just did not like these books. Little disclaimer, I'm not saying that these books were terrible, but they were either 3 stars or less for me, and so that qualified them for the worst reads. A couple of them I actually ended up DNFing, so we'll get into that. The first book on the chopping block is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Now, when I read this book, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I read this in January, and when I first read it, I rated it 4 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but as the year went on and I read more, I realized how badly written this really was, so I ended up knocking it down to 3 stars. It's not the worst book, but it also wasn't very good. Now, not to say that I'm not going to continue the series. I do want to read Wildfire just because I want to continue the series, but I really didn't enjoy this book as much as I thought I did, especially after reading a whole variety of different books. I realized that the writing in this just wasn't very good, and I had read a whole lot better. So Icebreaker definitely was one of the worst books I read, but there's a few more that were definitely a lot worse. This one hurts me. It's Butchered in Blackbeard by Brynne Weaver. Now, I'm not saying I hate this book. I thought it was really fun. I rated it 3.5 stars. There was a couple things in it that really got to me. Like the lobotomy, maggots, the ice cream, the cannibalism. That made me really question myself, and I loved the book. Don't get me wrong, I loved it, and I'm going to be reading Leather and Lark eventually. It was meh to me. When I first rated it, I raved about it. Oh, I loved it so much and everything, but thinking back now, when I was sitting here thinking of the worst books, this one just, it kept coming back to me, I didn't really enjoy it. And it makes me kind of sad because it was cute. And, I mean, it's dark romance, so it's cute for dark romance, but it just wasn't my favorite. So Butcher and Blackbeard, unfortunately, did not make the cut, so I'm sorry. This one, I'm not saying it's terrible, and I am going to continue the series, but this one, I just wish it was 300 pages shorter. That's why it's on this list. I rated it 3 stars. It ended on a good cliffhanger, but it's too long. And that is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I really did enjoy the book and the magic and the story and the whole dragons and everything. And the world building was really good. I wish it was 200 to 300 pages shorter. The cliffhanger, it was okay. I kind of predicted that happening. But it's one of those things, it was predictable. The world was a little different. It was kind of a harder fantasy to get into. Now, I did enjoy it. I listened to it mainly on Audible, but an audiobook, but still, there are so many better fantasies out there, and this just wasn't it for me. I'm sorry, Sarah. It's really good, but this wasn't for me. Next is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I rated this 3 stars. It was cute, but what really bothered me and why it's on this list, and I'm sorry, Lori Gilmore, I hated this. Why in the fuck did you do POV first person to POV third person? Why? Sorry, that was really aggressive. It really bothered me. I hated the fact that our POV switched from first to third person, and it annoyed me so much. Like, it would be, like, a little bit would be in third person, that's okay. I don't like third person, but I could handle it. And then it would switch back to first person for, like, a chapter. And so then it'd be like, oh, maybe she's going to stick to first person. And then she'd go back to third. Why in the fuck did you do that? Otherwise, this would have been a great read. It was cute. It's short. It was super quick and easy. But the switching of the POVs really fucked with my head, and I couldn't do it. So that's the only reason that this is not one of the best reads, and it's one of the worst. This one's going to be a little controversial, and I'm sorry, but you either love her writing and you love her books, or you hate it. And I am sorry, but I can't stand Colleen Hoover's writing. It Ends With Us. I have tried 3 times this year to read this book. The first time I DNF'd it about 50% in. I wasn't in the right headspace for it, so I DNF'd it. Excuse me. The second time I tried again, I was in better headspace. I got about 25% in and decided I hated it, so I DNF'd it, and I never DNF a book. And then the last time was just a few weeks ago. I thought, okay, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to try it again. Y'all, I got maybe 75% done, if that, maybe 60, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I hate this book. I want to see the movie with Blake Lively just because I love Blake Lively, but let's be honest, the story, it's shit, guys. I'm sorry. This was 0 stars. I DNF'd it, 0 stars. This is definitely the worst book of the year, and I'm sorry, Colleen Hoover, especially, like, your fans and everything, but y'all, they're so much better. So much better. The book I have on my list, I don't have a physical copy of, that is Haunting Adeline. I don't have any words. I don't have any words. It was my first dark romance, okay? I hated it. I hated it. I finished the book. I rated it 2 stars. I just had a hard time even getting into it. It wasn't the theming or some of the scenes that really threw me off. I mean, the gun scene kind of threw me off, but it just wasn't good. So I'm sorry, the Haunting Adeline, 2 stars. I am not continuing that series. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people really loved it. I just did not. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, and I'm sorry, but Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This one was a 3-star read for me. I think I actually rated it 3.5 stars. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It just wasn't that good. The theming wasn't that good. I really hated how he used sex to, like, control her, and the drugs and alcohol just were a little bit much for me. Now, I am going to continue the series because I want to read Daisy Hates. But so far, Magnolia Parks, just not it, y'all. Not it. I did not enjoy it. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. I know I'm going to get some hate for this one too, and I'm so sorry. But I went into this with high expectations. I was, people talked this series up to me, and everyone really recommended it. This is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, or not this series, but this book, by V.E. Schwab. Everyone said that V.E. Schwab's writing is immaculate and amazing, and I could not disagree more. I really struggled to read this book. It's super short. It should have took me 1 to 2 days. It took me 4 to 5. I did not want to pick this up. I ended up taking a break from it and reading another book, which is actually on this list. We'll talk about it. And then I went back to it, and even then, like, with that break, I still did not like it. The ending was cute. The only character I really enjoyed was Luce. Addie and Henry annoyed the fuck out of me. The writing wasn't all that great. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love this. It's like a cult favorite, but I did not. I'm sorry. And I'm probably not going to read another V.E. Schwab book. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me. Okay, so this book was mentioned earlier, but I'm sorry. I did not like this book. The rest of the series, 10 out of 10, loved it. But Twisted Love by Anna Wong, this is book 1 in the Twisted series, I did not like this story. It wasn't so much that Ava was annoying. Alex annoyed me so much. And I don't know. The rest of the series was really good, but it fell flat with this one. So I'm sorry, but not really. This one I rated 2 stars. I did not like it. The rest of the series, like I said, it's great. I loved books 2 to 4. All 3 of them are great, especially book 3. I mean, I love Josh and Jules. Josh is one of my top 10 book boyfriends. The Alex, he annoyed the fuck out of me. Ava was kind of annoying. She wasn't the worst, but like, I don't know. There was something about this book that I really, really did not like. And maybe it's the grumpy sunshine aspect. That's not one of my favorite tropes. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But again, not for me, so 2 stars. 2.5 stars. Last book, and I honestly feel like a lot of people agree with me on this book. I had high expectations, and I actually love this author's writing, but this fell so flat for me. How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. This book was the book that I stopped The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue for. I just read it just a couple weeks ago, actually a week ago for Christmas, and y'all, no. No, no, no. No, no. No, 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 no. 2.5 stars. Really did not like it. The candy cane scene, which everyone hyped up, all I could think about, and if you guys know, you know, like you guys probably think the same thing, is how that is asking for a yeast infection and a UTI. That was disgusting. The whole Grinch retelling was okay. I feel like it could have been done better. And the names in the story, like, why was the Santa character's last name Krampus? Why? I'm sorry. It's just, and then you have Aunt Cindy Lou, who is Cindy Lou Who, like, it just, and then the main character's name being Story. Story? There was so many things just wrong with this book, and I could go on and on and on and on and on, but I know a lot of people agree that this just wasn't it, and I literally said, what the fuck? 10,000 times. I laughed because it was so bad. It was so bad. Megan Quinn, I love your writing. You're a great author, but this one, it boo-boo. This one, it wasn't it, boo-boo. I'm so sorry. Sorry. And that's it, y'all. That is the top 10 best and top 10 worst books of 2024. I felt like we had a good mix of everything. I know some of the books that I said were the worst are kind of controversial, and I'm sorry. Please don't hate me. But like I said earlier, these are just my opinions. If you guys hated a book or loved it, and I either loved it or hated it, I'm sorry. Again, it's just my opinions, and I respect yours. Please respect mine. But other than that, I love you guys. Please be careful out there. It's a dangerous world and a crazy world. And I'll see you guys soon. Read on. Bye, guys!